Hi everyone, welcome back to number 11 of my 360, no, it's not of 365, it's of the abstract mixed media pieces that I'm working on. It's number 11 for that, but this is part of my 365 somethings. In the description, I will put what number I reach. Oh my goodness. So I started off, I mixed some green, wow, and I'm just layering that on the, putting that as a base on my page. There's no gesso, and I'm using a palette knife to paint with instead of a brush, just to, try something new and see how that turns out, because you get different marks, you get a different vibe, and everything. I felt this was a very interesting choice, but it's what I had on the table at the time, so I decided to use it and make the best of it, which is green and pink. I just, normally I would not choose these two colors together. It's just strange for me anyway. So I'm using a baby wipe just to kind of spread that. And I decided to add a focal point on this one. I found a tag and I'm adding white gesso to it. And I'm using the palette knife again. And I'm making marks. This is, I think it's the bottom of an old paintbrush. I didn't throw it away, and I just made some marks in it as the gesso was still wet. Wanted to see how that would turn out. So I'm bringing back in my book. I've taped my edges. I've used, this time I use washi tape, because washi tape, it's sticky, but not as sticky as masking tape. So I'm hoping that it's not gonna rip my page. Actually, part of it is masking tape. Anyways, so I'm using a marker to make some marks, because brown and green looks super cool and pink and brown looks great in my opinion. And now I'm adding some more marks, some dots, and I'm doing the same to the focal point. Now, even though it's in my mind, I was thinking, yes, it's a focal point, but I still want it to kind of blend in, so it would look like if it's part of it, but still yet stand out. So as I'm doing all of this, I'm trying for it to look like it's part of the page, but I'm also trying to think of how can I make this stand out without it looking out of place. You know what I mean? So I just added the same colors that I have on the page, trying to figure out which way I want it to go and what I'm going to add to it. So I'm using my charcoal pencil. I decided to black up my edges, and this is the method I chose. That was too light, so I decided to use the actual paint and add it there. But I didn't want it to be so dark going into the card, so I'm trying to spread it, but every time I do, I'm washing it out in some water and then wiping it off on a rag. So that's why you see me seeming to dip every minute. It's because I'm trying to wash it out a lot as it goes more into the card, but still keep the edge really dark. And that was way too much, so I'm trying to push it back. In my brain, I was screaming, that's too much. So now that that's like that, I decided that my page should have some black on it too. So I'm just gonna add some black here and there. And that was way too much for me too. In my brain, I was like, no, that's too much. Oh, art is so much fun. So I'm doing this because the middle just feels so like it needed something. So I'm just going in with some black dashes. I'm just lightly passing the tip of the brush as a base for the card and to tie in everything, I'm hoping. I'm going, here's a baby wipe again. I'm trying to blend it. Still, it didn't turn out quite the way I wanted, but that's fine. And I found the marks on the card were too intense, so I'm pushing it back with the pink on the table. And now I decided to add some green splashes, but it was too light, so I decided to darken it by adding some black in it. Because yes, the card has the tie-in, but I still want it to be a little different, you know? Yet stand out. So I'm going around because I found it was blending in too much still, so I decided to edge the whole card. The problem is because the card was it's originally plastic, and I wasn't really waiting for everything to dry. Handling the card was kind of difficult. So now I find that the marks themselves on the page standing out too much. It was kind of shouting at me, so I'm trying to push it back while adding more color at the same time. Instead of just adding white, I'm using the same color to push it back. Then I decided to add some more marks using the palette knife because it felt like it needed something else, and I went with this. Now it's time to stick the card down. I'm so happy. I'm smoothing it out. But because I used the heat gun to dry the card, it got really bent. So I'm trying to decide what to use to push it down without messing up the paint. And the paint keeps coming up. Which makes it difficult because I have to fix it back the way it was, which is very difficult. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, how am I going to make it dry flat without peeling up all that paint? But anyway. See, a piece of the page still came up, but that's okay. That's okay. So this is my finished product. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you see, it came off. And I didn't like how I fixed it, but I was like, you know what, that's it. It's staying like that. Look at that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I look forward for your comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.